This is the Red Podcast.
We've got a special episode with a big announcement. Changes coming to Red Podcast. Renewed focus. That's coming up.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
5 days ago, I decided to do my own laundry. Doesn't happen often.
Does not happen often.
And just this morning, I remembered that the laundry was still there, never moved over to the dryer, still wet.
It was probably dry by then.
No, it was not.
It was not. Okay.
I was surprised. I was hoping it would be dry. I'm a little worried about mold or something.
Yeah, was it mildewy?
I don't know. I just washed it again. And
You're very efficient.
it brings up the question, and it's a little ironic that we've been working on an episode called Spread Too Thin, Signs of Being Spread Too Thin. Nothing to do with laundry in particular, but forgetting that you're in the middle of something so basic like that. Of course, it does happen very rarely.
It's kind of like an episode of Family Feud, where it's like not putting your laundry in the dryer. Survey says signs of being spread too thin. As a family, we would win that Family Feud round, no doubt.
Yeah. We've been at Red Podcast for 1 year.
Yep.
It hasn't been live 1 year. It's been live about 10 months was the actual.
Like 11 months, maybe.
11 months. We said we had the soft launch, then the hard launch.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been working on Red Podcast 12 months. I know that because we've got a diary that we keep.
We do.
Go back and look at what was happening 365 days ago, and starting Red Podcast was what was happening then.
It's kind of crazy that it's been that long.
Yeah, well, 153 episodes in, our last episode, Should You Quit, Should You Pivot? And it's actually more than that. We've got 160 some episodes. We've had all the special episodes.
It's been a long journey. Been good though.
Yeah, it has been good. But it brings us to the question, are we spreading ourselves too thin? We started out 5 days a week, and this was intentional that after a month we switched to 3 days a week. Haven't missed an episode until last week. We only published once, and that was intentional. Just so we could look at this. Are we spreading ourselves too thin?
I think it's a good topic for us to visit because a lot of times you find yourself giving advice and you're not taking your own advice. And something that I've been trying to do in the last couple of years, if I give advice to one of my clients or we talk about something on here, so we try to take our own advice and implement it. And when we were doing this episode, it became clear that maybe we weren't taking our own advice, which is always fun when that occurs to you.
No, not on this anyway. We are spread too thin. So the bottom line is this. With a book project for me and a huge training that Laurel is organizing right now, we feel that the podcast can't continue at the 3-day-a-week level. Not right now.
Yeah, not right now.
So we're not saying that this is the end of 3 days a week. But it is for now.
It's a 3-day-a-week hiatus. 3 day. That's hard to say.
No. Let's talk about where things are going now because we're not quitting Red Podcast. We are changing some things.
We could call it a pivot like the last episode.
Exactly. Redpodcast.com/153 if you want to hear that. We talked about whether to quit or pivot. And that was another one of the things that kind of got us thinking, well, should we look at our own selves just a little bit more in depth?
No, it's hard when you have to look at yourself and you can't just dish out advice to everyone else.
This is what John Acuff told me when I was interviewing him. He said that while his latest book called Do Over was being edited, not one, but two of the editors quit their jobs.
That story was hilarious to me.
Well, we're kind of doing the same thing.
Yep.
Although maybe not as intensely. We are changing some things about Red Podcast, though. What now? We're in the process of retooling, doing new imaging for the podcast. We're going to have a renewed focus. Specifically, we'll be talking more about how you can grow your influence, build a bigger audience, and make money while spreading your message.
When we started out Red Podcast, I would say it was more general entrepreneur advice, like how to be in the entrepreneur game for the long term, how to have longevity while working for yourself, because that's something that you and I have been working for ourselves. I've been self-employed for 8 years. You've been self-employed for over 20.
Almost 20.
Yeah. So that was something that we wanted to talk about. And now we feel that it's time to really niche down and really get specific about the message here in order to help you grow your business. And as you said, David, expand your influence and spread your message.
And you're leaving me, right?
Not forever.
Laura will be taking a little bit of a hiatus. I'll be focusing on doing more interviews, which strangely enough, we said we would never do on Red Podcast, but what I'm known for with my radio work, explaining exactly what these people have done to grow influence, build a bigger audience, and make money spreading their messages so that you can do the same thing. Laurel, you'll be back, though. You're not going away forever.
No.
And you'll be back in the interim.
Not going away forever. I just have a lot going on I'm doing that training program that you talked about. I also have live training that I'm doing on a monthly basis and some other programs and mastermind type groups that I'm running. So I just have a lot to get rolling on in the next couple months. So in order to not spread myself too thin, taking a little break here and there, but not going anywhere permanently. But I think now that we've talked about the changes, let's talk about some of the benefits of these changes, because it's not like this change is bad. I think this change is really what we envisioned in the first place a year ago when we started this podcast, and now we're like just getting really clear and really tight on what we wanted to share originally.
That's kind of the cool thing about Red Podcast is because it is a serialized piece of work that we release 5 times, 3 times, maybe a couple times per week, you can see it as it transforms. And it constantly is transforming. We've had one revamp already when we brought on interviews. The first 100 episodes, none of them had interviews.
Mm-mm.
So this is another addition to that, just getting more focused on the content. Instead of the general entrepreneur advice that we had to give you a good foundation, this is going to be more about taking things to the next level with a bigger audience, showing you how to do that, how to grow your influence with that audience, and specifically how to make more money, how to monetize the audience, how to monetize your influence.
I like that you said foundation, because I really do feel like the first 150 episodes, 153 episodes were really foundational. It was really the bones of how to build a business, how to stay in this game in the long term, as I said earlier. So I feel like those episodes are timeless.
Absolutely they are. And you can't do what we are doing right now without having that foundation.
Exactly.
That was intentional.
It was. And I feel like it was great information. I feel like you could listen to those in years to come, and it's still going to be valid information. It's still going to help you grow your business. But now it's really time for us to get specific and have specific action steps and stories and everything that's going to help you really take it to the next level that's not as general as the first 150 episodes.
The new Red will launch June 1st, less than 3 weeks away.
You got to get cracking. We got a lot to do.
Already working on it.
I know.
Already got the voiceover guy. We've got new imaging that's very, very cool. It's going to be good.
I think it's going to be great. I'm excited about it. I think for us, having less time to work on it is what's really going to make it better. The time that we put into it is really going to be the focus time. It's going to be putting stuff out there that needs to be out there, that's going to help you, that's exactly what you need. Again, more specific and more targeted towards your exact needs and what you're working on in your business right now.
So if you haven't already subscribed, to make sure that you don't miss the new Red Podcast, go to iTunes, hit subscribe. That'll get you everything that you need.
In June, there is going to be more great stuff to come.
Any final thoughts? Because we're not going to be seeing you for a while. It's going to be so sad.
Aw, I'm still around. I am still working hard, but I'm going to let you take the reins for a minute and then jump back in later on. So that'll be good for me.
Laurel's available at 10by10coach.com. If you want to read my writings for now, 23hours.com is where to get me. And we will see you June 1st for the all-new Red Podcast, renewed focus, more information that's going to help you to grow your audience, have more influence, and make more money spreading your message. Thanks so much for listening. Subscribe via iTunes, and we'll see you on June 1st.
See ya.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.
Caw-caw, caw-caw, I say.
All right, I think we got our check.
Okay.
We feel that the podcast can't continue. I got this.
Me?
Hate this. I do.
Oh.
You do too.
What's the...
I don't know. Just sticky clickies. Here we go. Stop it.